I wasn't having as much fun playing the game. I didn't pursue college baseball to make money.
It's going to sound kind of like cocky, but I believe when you step on the mound, your body language has to be quiet, but your mind has to be like, I know I'm the best.
Welcome to the Athletes in Sports podcast. We got two special guests today, Gopher baseball players Charlie Sutherland and Kyle Remmington. So today we're going to get into a little bit about their story, some mental tips that they might have, and after this we've got a big fundraising event for the Gopher baseball team out here at CHS Field. So boys, thanks for coming on today.
That's right. Thanks for having us.
Yep,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Awesome. So we've got Kyle, you're from Michigan. Charlie, you're from
Duluth.
Up in Duluth. How has it been, being at the University of Minnesota? It's still cold in Duluth, cold in Michigan. But you're both sophomores. How has, your first year and a half here been at the University of Minnesota?
It's been amazing for me. Growing up in Duluth, there's not a whole lot of infrastructure as far as the indoor baseball facilities go. So I was really limited to more of like a 1 or 2 season thing, especially in Minnesota. So it's been super nice to have how convenient all the facilities are at the U, and meeting some great guys, settling in, and now I've felt this year I've been able to kind of get into my comfort zone a little bit. So it's nice.
Yeah. And how about you, Kyle?
Yeah, it's cold in Michigan, but it's definitely a lot colder up here. I would say this is my first time experiencing a long period of time away from home. So that has been something that I've grown into actually liking. I love my family, but it's a new experience to be kind of on your own for the first time and feel like a true adult. And everyone has been amazing up here. I love the campus and the connections that I made through this opportunity. So it's been great so far.
So if you guys could play any other D1 sport on campus other than baseball, what would you guys pick?
Hockey.
Hockey?
Hockey.
Did you guys both play hockey growing up?
I did, yeah. I was a huge Miracle on Ice fan growing up. Yeah, Jimmy Craig.
Yeah.
I was a goalie.
I can't even skate,
But
it's awesome. I've been to a few games and it's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what sports did you play growing up?
I played soccer, I ran some cross country, and then I did swim for about a year.
Okay.
So yeah.
And was baseball always like your passion, or did it take a while to figure out what you were like most in love with on the sports side?
It was baseball.
Yeah.
So straight away. My mom has this picture of me playing t-ball, and I have the most serious look on my face. And my mom tells me that when she took that photo, I kind of yelled at her and I said, "Don't bother me. I'm working."
So how old would you have been then?
5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So was your mom an inspiration for you to play baseball? Was your dad? Do you have siblings? What kind of led you down that baseball path?
I would say it came from my whole family. My Aunt Pam, she lives in a neighborhood that's right behind a local, like, legendary baseball field. It's called Valley Field, and it was really big in like the 70s and the 90s. And my whole family just kind of wrapped their arms around me and was like, baseball is awesome. Like, learn this. And it's definitely been awesome. So Dad really enforced baseball in a positive way for me growing up. So I would say family.
How about you, Charlie? What did you play growing up?
At different points, I've probably played just about any sport there is, but baseball's the one that stuck through the whole way. I would never like going to hockey practice, because back then it was all like outdoor skating, especially up in Duluth. I got bad circulation in my feet, so I was always complaining about frozen toes and everything. But baseball, it was like I could not wait to get to the field, practice, game, you name it. So that was what stuck through. But I've played tennis, soccer, hockey, basketball, football. Football, actually, my sophomore and senior year of high school only. Never growing up or anything, but I was fortunate enough to be able to have the opportunity to play on the team. I had a bunch of buddies on there, and even though I didn't know what the heck I was doing, they kind of was like, all right, you're serviceable. You can do enough. You can practice, play. Like if we really don't have a high stake on the game, allow me to get some reps there. But that was just a blast.
Well, because I mean, a lot of it's just being in the locker room, with guys, and it's something that I think, for me, I played high school sports, I played college hockey, but then once you're out of that, you don't have that camaraderie, that common goal. I mean, you get a little bit of that in business, and I think a lot of business leaders try to strive to have their cultures feel like that, but you really only have that feeling when you're on a sports team. So, you guys have a couple more years of college. Maybe you'll get to go pro at some point, but when that day is over, it's really tough to get that locker room feel back.
That's one of the main things I remember from sports growing up. Like those 2 years of football, I don't remember what I did on the field. Well, it wasn't a lot of time, but I don't remember any of that. It was more just like being able to connect with some friends. Mm-hmm. Baseball's the same way. Like some of my strongest memories, even from being here so far, are in the locker room, off the field with the guys. Those relationships that you build in sports are really unique, and it's something that I'm very grateful to have.
Mm-hmm. So one of the big things we stress at the In Sports Foundation with the camps we run is to try to make it fun for the kids. Like we want kids to have fun playing sports. Do you have any, Kyle, we'll start with you, any memories from when you were younger of like just how fun it doesn't have to be baseball, but like a certain memory that sticks out to you of like I loved it.
Yeah. I would say growing up, doing travel ball, going to these tournaments, there's a lot of downtime. You might have a 9 a.m. game, the way it's structured, and then like a 3 p.m. game. And that time in between, you kind of have to hang out, maybe put up some tents to get out of the sun. And, being around the guys, just goofing off, maybe someone brings like cornhole to play.
Yep.
That's where I was like, I'm doing the right thing, meeting the right people through this, and awesome.
We would always get at hockey tournaments our mini sticks, our knee hockey sticks would be because the hallways were just filled with kids playing knee hockey. But how about you, Charlie? How about what's a fun memory you have from growing up playing sports?
I think it's just that it was that desire to play is the thing I remember the strongest. I mean, I wrote a letter to our Parks and Rec director in Duluth when I was like 10, trying to get him to build a dome in Duluth because we don't have one up there,
which is crazy.
But I think they're working on some facilities, bringing some stuff up there, which it'll be really good. But I wrote a letter to them. Like my dad would throw me these weighted balls in the basement in the winter. It was crazy. I have a video of it somewhere, but he would put on my old hockey goalie mask, and I'd be like, we got this 7-foot ceiling, unfinished basement, him tossing some weighted balls and me swinging. I'm like 11, 12 years old, definitely too big for him to be standing there, but he was always supportive of me just and realized how much I wanted to play. And I think that internal motivation and just love of the game is what stuck. That was really fun.
And that's another really big reason why we started the In Sports Foundation, was because like everyone that helped start it, we all had those similar experiences growing up. We had parents or siblings that were engaged and were playing sports with us at home, and we've realized that there's a lot of kids out there that don't have that same structure at home, and there's a lot of funding that's a lack of funding in the public school system. So we used to have gym every single day, but a lot of public schools here in Minnesota, they have gym once a week, like 20 to 25 minutes. My son is in first grade, and they have gym class once a week. So our foundation has been going to putting on after and before school programming and summer school programming for those schools that have a lack of funding to have gym teachers on staff all year round and at different times, just to keep kids active.
So important.
Yeah.
So let's touch on a little bit of the mental side of sports, because there's always a point in your sports career, you might be the best player on your team, but then at some point you're not always going to be the best player, and that can be tough mentally to kind of get through. Or maybe you were the opposite. You weren't the best at one point and you worked your way to get to kind of that next level. But at some point, you're going to go through some mental tough times, whether it's at the macro level or the micro level on a day-to-day basis. Do you guys have any tips or tricks or an example of a kind of a mental toughness story of how you got through something that was kind of tough in your sports career? Kyle, we can start with you.
So I would say something that recently has come up for a tough time within my sports career is this November I had surgery. A preventative surgery. I had a hernia, and then I got really sick like a few weeks after having that surgery. So for about 2 months, I was unable to do what I really wanted to do. And, it was hard at first because that was my first experience with, anything physically that would keep me away from playing. And I remember like calling my parents and I'm like, even though it's only like 2 months, right? You look at guys who go through Tommy John and that's like 9 to 12 months. I was pretty shaken up just about 2 months. And, what I kind of really sat down and tried to focus on is it's not permanent, right? This time period that I'm going through will end. And now I'm in that time and it has ended. But I think for young athletes who are going through adversity, something to keep in mind is that it's not always going to be that way, right? Maybe you're not the best on the team at that time, but if you continue to keep working, like maybe you already have been, more likely than not, the results will show, and you probably will become the best.
Right. It's that playing time mentality and either you don't have it at the beginning and you work your way out of it and then you start getting that playing time, or you had it and you taper off and you stop getting it. But either way, there's that mental toughness of just getting through that period. And injuries are a great example of that because some of the examples I've seen is like you kind of feel like you're not a part of the team because you're not involved in the practices and the meetings and all the kind of the daily things that you're normally. So you're even distancing yourself a little bit socially until you're back, kind of full action. But it wasn't during the season, right? It was
no, and I'm very thankful to have the people around me in the locker room where I didn't have that same feeling of away from the team. There's some great people in there that really kind of picked me up when I was a little bit down. Yeah. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. How about you, Charlie? Any mental?
Yeah, Kyle talked mostly about like the physical adversity and the mental strain that comes with that. I'll touch on a little bit of I've had my fair share of physical adversity, but I'll talk about some mental adversity that I went through this fall. So we have our fall season, fall scrimmages and everything, and I don't know if it's probably a combination of factors, probably me expecting too much of myself, trying to do too much, but I got to a point where it was more of a job. Like I felt like going to the field, like I wasn't having as much fun playing the game. I was really just kind of in a bad spot, and I was affecting my performance, and then that would spiral. So like it just kind of compounded on itself. Like wasn't having fun, wasn't doing well, having even less fun. And I met with the coaching staff. Coach Ty was a much needed time for him to he called me into the office. I had a meeting with the coaching staff, and the main two takeaways I had from that meeting that they stressed the importance of is two things. One, being present and staying where your feet are. And two, finding a way to have fun playing the game.
Yep.
So those are the two things that they stressed most importantly. They didn't talk about mechanical changes, physical changes, even stuff that might have needed to happen at that time. It was more about that being present, living in the moment and having fun. And it was night and day, that first and second half of the fall, as far as like my energy, my attitude going to the field, and then that had a huge effect on my performance. And so then you get the other kind of compounding where it's like you're building yourself back up, but it all stemmed from having fun.
That's awesome to hear. And that's one of our core values for the foundation. So it's good that, even a college player is thinking about that, and how like some youth players aren't even feeling it. They might feel like it's just a job, or my parents are making me do this. Like, it's got to be fun. Hey everyone, I want to take a quick moment to tell you about the In Sports Foundation. At In Sports, we're all about helping kids get more involved in sports. We do this through providing free camps, scholarships, and team sponsorships, all to help reduce the cost of sports and getting more kids into the game. Through sports, kids can learn valuable life lessons, stay active, and maintain their mental well-being. To support our mission and help us get more kids into the game, visit our website at insportsfoundation.org to make a donation. Together, we can make a difference. Now, how about before a game, Kyle? You're a pitcher, right?
I am, yeah.
When you know that you're going to be in the lineup, what kind of things are you thinking about before the game? Are you thinking about a lot? Are you trying to keep your mind empty?
Mm-hmm.
And what does that kind of look like on a game day preparation?
Yeah, so on game day, I try and think as little as possible, if that makes sense,
Yep.
but like in a useful way, right? So, if you're going to pitch, sometimes there's anxiety and you're thinking about all the different situations that can happen. But what I like to do is the night before, lay down or sit down, close my eyes, and do a mental visualization of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I go through, first pitch. Okay, what if he gets a single? Now there's a runner on first. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to react. Let's say I strike out the side in the first. So I'll play the game over in like 100 different ways that it could go. So the next day when I get into that moment of maybe giving up a hit in the first to the first batter, I don't panic because I have that security blanket of like, oh, well, I've played this situation out three different times in my head. I know what I want to do. It's almost like making it feel familiar, even though that current situation has never happened for that day.
Are there any batters that you fear when they come up and you're throwing against them?
It's going to sound kind of like cocky, but no.
Yeah.
Because I believe when you step on the mound that your body language has to be quiet, but your mind has to be like, I know I'm the best, right? And that can come off cocky as a cocky mindset, but I kind of view it more as confidence because, if I get you out or strike you out, I'm not going to like blow up in your face about it.
Right. It's one thing how you carry yourself off the field versus like how your mindset is while you're playing. Like, and if you have any doubt in your mind, they're going to walk all over you.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you prepare throughout the off season to the best of your ability, I really don't think you should fear that many people. I think confidence comes from preparation. And, if you're feeling nervous for a guy, just take a few breaths.
Yep.
Right. It will be okay.
Yep. I love that. Confidence comes from preparation. Like that. How about you, Charlie? What about game day?
First of all, I can vouch for Kyle doing that. We were roommates back in the dorms last year, and I remember coming home from.
You guys are real close.
Coming home from the facility, and Kyle's cross-legged in the middle of the floor, meditating.
Awesome.
Going through the game. So So that's this. He's not just putting on a show.
That's just not nonsense. Yeah, it's true.
No, it's not. That's good. That's very true. Me personally, I've had to learn, sort of in that same conversation with the coaching staff, not to be too particular about what I need to do before a game, because there's always going to be scenarios where stuff comes up and you're not going to be able to get your stuff in, your routine, and you got to be able to learn how to adapt outside of that. That being said, I do have like a pregame, like the night before a game, every night before I go to bed, I do some breathing exercises. In the morning, I'll do breathing exercises and that kind of, and a meditation practice, and that kind of centers myself.
Do you have something like a guided
I do have an
meditation?
app. I use an app called Waking Up.
Okay.
And it's less of a sports psychology and more of like just a life ever-present awareness, mindful meditation. So I love that. I'll do that every day. And but then before the game, I have a piece of paper that I have a bunch of stuff that I wrote down for myself, and I'll read that before every game, sometimes during an at game, like before an at bat, if I'm feeling nervous. And that's one to kind of center myself, because that's always going to be there. I can always have it to read. And it's different more mental cues than physical cues. It's not like telling myself what mechanics I should do in the box. It's more like those things that I was talking about. Like the one part of it says, releasing quickly and being present where your feet are. There's just a number of those sayings that I'll read to kind of bring myself back to the moment. And then before I step in the box, I look at my feet. It's kind of just like a cue, like I'm here.
Yep. This
is where I am. My mind could be thinking a million different things 1 second ago, but right now, this is all that matters. That's kind of my way of preparation.
Awesome. So at some point, your baseball careers will come to an end. You're sophomore, so it would be awesome if you guys got a chance to play professionally. But even past that, have you guys thought about what life looks like after baseball? Do you want to stay coaching? Do you want to get into the business world? Is there whatever your major is in school? Kyle, we'll start with you.
I definitely want to stay within the game. I haven't thought too much about what role that would be, but I do know that I like baseball too much to just disappear from it when I'm not playing. So that might show up if my kid decides to play baseball.
Yep.
Teaching them what I know up until I can't, and they have to find someone else. So yeah, I would stay in it. I would. Yeah. I hope to not lose that love for the game.
Yeah. How about you, Charlie?
As of now, I'm planning on pursuing a career in medicine, going to medical school. That's kind of like the professional career goal. Aside from baseball, I'm still focused on baseball right now, and if that opportunity presents itself, I will definitely go down that route. But no matter what, there will be a time when I play my last game, and I don't know if I'll get into baseball as like from the business side of it, whether that's coaching, managing, whatever. But I do definitely think I'll be involved with my kids' teams, baseball, whatever it is. I'll find a way to stay involved at a reasonable distance.
Yep.
I don't want to be that dad who's trying to be coach all the time to their kid, but I would like to stay in the game from a more removed perspective.
It is tough as a parent to not want to get in and take control. And I coach my son playing hockey, and he also plays football and baseball, but I didn't play baseball, didn't play football, so I'm like, I'm not going to coach those sports.
Yeah.
Like I won't even critique him because he already knows more than I do. The other thing I wanted to touch on is just this landscape of NIL in college athletics, because it is, when I was in college, there was none of that, and I know it's a big topic. Maybe it's not as big a deal as people think. Maybe it is. Is it something that you guys think about on a daily basis? Is it distracting, or are you guys still business as usual on the baseball field?
I don't think I've thought about NIL at all until I see like on Twitter that this huge football transfer has made whatever amount of money, and that's why they went to that school. And then I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm
gonna go to practice. Like, I don't think I've ever stayed up late dreaming of NIL money, to be honest, because I'm here to play baseball in a way, and that's my focus, not how can I squeeze as much money as I can out of this experience.
Right.
If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Exactly. I didn't pursue college baseball to make money. I mean, even when we were growing up and like maybe starting of getting recruited, NIL still wasn't a thing. So I'm actually very glad that that's not something that affected my recruiting process, because this is a school that I chose because of the coaching staff that brought me in, and the coaching staff that's here now, I wouldn't change a thing. And the school academic side, just the culture within the program, I think those are like the most important things. And if NIL opportunities happen to arise, like that's great. But I think that can't be the focus of going to a place, because there's going to be a time when maybe you're not at your peak performance, or people don't want you to represent their brand anymore. And do you have the school that you really want to fall back on, or are you there just for the money and you're going to up and move because this place doesn't want you anymore?
Yeah, and I mean, college sports, it's such a short time. It's, 4, maybe 5 years if you redshirt. And it is a family atmosphere. And if you're just jumping from school to school, you really lose that sense of team and that sense of family. And yeah, if an NIL opportunity comes up, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
But I like where you guys' heads at. It's not the reason why you pick somewhere. Yeah. If you guys had to give Coach McDevitt one critique, what would you guys say?
Oh boy, be careful.
Oh man.
I'm just kidding.
First?
You don't have to answer that.
I
Tyson right
plead
behind him.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah.
That was a test.
Maybe get a new non-wooden hockey stick.
We could that could be a good Christmas gift for your coach. Maybe next year is a new Bauer.
Yeah.
Well, sticks are like $400 now.
I don't think you would want that.
No, he wouldn't.
Did you find something beneficial from this Athletes in Sports podcast? Please share this episode with a fellow athlete, coach, or someone who loves sports to help them reach their next level and help kids get in the game.
Okay, I do have a couple rapid fire questions for you guys. Best baseball movie of all time. Kyle, you first.
Oh no. Probably Major League.
Major League.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. God, I really enjoy Major League, but I gotta go Sandlot for
Sandlot.
Sandlot.
Oh,
There
I
it
like
is.
that one.
There it is.
All right,
Yeah.
Charlie, go-to walk-up song.
I got Tom Sawyer by Rush.
Kyle. All right, do you bat? Do you bat?
No, I don't bat anymore.
But
He's
if
got
you
his
had to pick
pitching
one.
walk.
yeah, I got
you
a pitching one.
Okay.
Yeah, this year I chose Swamp Music by Leonard Skinner.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kyle, dream stadium to play in.
Ooh. Oracle Park.
Oracle Park.
Yeah.
Where's that? I don't even know where that is.
I believe that's a Giants.
Giants.
Giants
Yeah.
Stadium. Okay.
Good. I got my dream park right.
Charlie,
Camden Yards.
Camden Yards. Awesome. Okay, pre-game ritual or superstition. Charlie.
I said I got that letter thing that I read, but other than that,
Anything good, like a food you eat or something goofy?
come back to me. I gotta think.
I
don't
eat
think so.
spaghetti the night
Spaghetti,
before.
that's your-
spaghetti and bread. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I do. I just kind of do what feels right. Like sometimes I don't know. This is gonna sound really weird, but I have like my t-shirts hanging up in my room, and sometimes like if it's game day or whatever, I'll like reach for a t-shirt and I'm like, no, that one doesn't feel right today.
You could
So I'll grab
pick a different
another
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, I guess that would be something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to make sure that t-shirt's feeling right.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle, last one. Favorite baseball player growing up?
Tim Lincecum,
Tim
Oh, the
Lincecum.
freak.
the freak.
Joe Mauer.
Joe Mauer, Minnesota.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, I just want to thank you guys for sitting down and taking the time, being here at this fundraising event. Ty, your coach, and I are working on a really awesome partnership where we can get more of your team involved in some of the programming that we do to make an impact for youth that might not have that impact, that person to look up to at home, whether it be for baseball or soccer or basketball. There's a lot of kids out there that need that positive influence in their life, especially a positive male influence. So I'm really looking forward to what's to come with our partnership, and looking forward to having a good night here tonight.
I
Yeah.
would love that. Yeah, thank you for having us on, and thank you for doing what you do. That's really important.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Push it to the limit, I can't go no more. Feeling like no, I'm coming back home. I'm driving home, all on you. I'ma be great, write my name in the stone, write my name in the stone.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Athletes in Sports podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more from inspiring athletes, we encourage you to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on all of our social media channels.